Will you marry me?
Must we really get married?
You're supposed to say I do.
But why? What happens if we get married? So what if we get married?
But you proposed to me.
But do you really think it through? Do you say yes because you wanted to get married or because you thought you had to get married because society said you had to get married?
But we love each other.
So, think for yourself.
Marriage means so much that we don't often talk about. Societal expectations, individuality, career, children, owning a house, freedom. So much to consider.
So, must we really get married?
Hi, I'm your host Pam and welcome to Agree to Disagree. Today, we're going to zoom in on a topic that me, my parents and our government are all equally interested in. Me getting married. For those of you who don't know, I actually got engaged not too long ago. And I can hear some of you thinking,
oh, so sad! You can't do a proper wedding because of COVID.
well, in my case, the pandemic situation doesn't really matter to me because I just wanted to get married. Hello? I don't want to get married because of the wedding. I want to get married for the marriage. For love. And also for the heavily subsidized government-provided BTO flat. But it seems like I'm the odd one out compared to most people because both worldwide and in Singapore, couples are getting married at a later age with less tying the knot every year. If we look back into history, the goal of marriage early on was entirely a practical one. Get married, get rich. Stephanie Kuhn writes, what marriage had was that it really was not about the relationship between the man and the woman. It was a way of getting in-laws, of making alliances, and expanding the family labour force. That's why if you, as a married woman, feel like your family and in-laws seem to only see you as a baby-making machine, guess what? You're right! Historically, your only real reason to be in a marriage is to make babies. To my husband-to-be, please take note, I am more than just my attractive birthing hips. Of course, we've come a long way since then, but since we started documenting marriages and divorce stats, there's been an upward trend in people getting divorced, while at the same time, people are also getting married less. You've probably also heard of long-term couples not wanting to get married, open marriages, etc. Couples today are far more liberal with how they view romantic relationships, and with updated ideas about individuality, most people marry almost exclusively for love. So although I've taken the more traditional and conventional path, I am really intrigued by the factors that people take into account when thinking of marriage. Obviously, they're pretty clear to me, but for all of you out there evaluating whether or not you want to get married, let's discuss. Is there a real need for us to legally commit ourselves to one individual for life? Or are there better ways of celebrating love? Is marriage a worthy goal in life? First of all, the cost of marriage is high. And I'm not just talking about weddings. And weddings are freaking expensive. $30,000 for a wedding banquet? If I wanted to have an overpriced dinner with people that I'll barely talk to throughout the entire meal, I'll just go to someone else's wedding. Personally, I do like the fun and chaos of Malay weddings, but I can do so much with that money. Travelling, buying new furniture for my house, buying new furniture for my hamsters. Just my 2 cents. Sorry, not 2 cents. $30,000! Also, the cost of marriage mentally, emotionally, and financially very often doesn't make sense, especially for younger people who have rising costs of living to deal with already. And after you get married, do you know what's likely to happen?
Divorce, babe, divorce.
And once you start divorce proceedings, it could take a very long time and the financial, legal, and emotional fallout will probably last for years. I know this is a cynical view, but these concerns aren't something you can dismiss easily. There just doesn't seem to be much point in seeking marriage. Okay, yes, I would agree with you, only if I were a cynical old woman. Not hating on old women, I'm just being dramatic, I'll become one of you eventually anyway. We should consider marriage in a pragmatic way. But when it comes to affairs of the heart, it's hard to stay pragmatic. In order to find meaning and give meaning to our meaningless lives, we often have to commit to things like hobbies and passions, or in this case, someone. On top of that, in a world where relationships are increasingly fleeting, there's something special in committing yourself to just one individual. And yes, you want to be pragmatic? Studies have also shown that single people earn less than partnered ones. Okay, so you want to talk about being romantic? Then we shouldn't need a legal document just to force people to commit to one another. If anything, requiring a legal document to keep a couple together makes it less romantic.
Just look at me. Before I had a conversation about getting married, I had to discuss home ownership with my partner. Do you know how unromantic that is? Babe, how many do you want? How many what? How many do you want?
At least 4.
4?
Huh? How much space do you need?
Inside only got space for 1! No. 4-room flat, not 4 baby, 4-room flat. And once you add financial planning to the discussion, it's almost like a business partnership. Love is love is love. You don't need marriage to prove your love.
Yes, you don't need marriage to be evidence of love and commitment. But if you're already in love and plan to be with each other for the rest of your lives, why not just get married? The pros of getting married outweigh the cons. Here in Singapore, just by virtue of being married, it's easier and cheaper to buy a house. And if your partner dies overseas or in the hospital and you're not legally married or next of kin, you can't see them off or visit them before they die. That's sad! Also, their assets won't go to you if they die. So, if you're already in love, how is marriage not a worthy goal in life? Okay, if you're in love, yes, of course, get married, go ahead if it makes sense for you. But what happens when that love goes away, or worse still, gets betrayed or cheated on? The idea of marriage holds many people prisoner to relationships that no longer work or are even harmful to themselves. Making marriage a goal in life and putting it on a pedestal puts pressure on people to get married and find a way to make it work, even when the relationship might not be a healthy one. And if the marriage bears fruit, I mean children, things usually get worse. Okay, fair. But at the same time, no one goes into a marriage thinking about divorce. People do want things to work out. As plucked from this New York Times opinion piece by David Brooks, there's a quote from author Tim Keller in The Meaning of Marriage, arguing that marriage introduces you to yourself, making you realize you're not as noble and easy to live with as you thought when alone. In many marriages, there's an unspoken agreement not to talk about what you don't admire in the other, because the truth from a loved one can be so painful. But in a good marriage, you identify your own selfishness and see it as the fundamental problem. You treat it more seriously than your spouse's selfishness. Marriage is a worthy goal in life, not because of the cliche that marriage makes you a better person. That's just untrue. But marriage gives you the opportunity to grow and to be a better person in ways that most other relationships outside of a marriage would not be able to provide. So yes, marriage is a worthy goal because it not just satisfies individual interests but also social good.
Thank you.
I'm not done. Let me go back to my previous point about focusing too much on marriage being a goal in life. Overemphasis on your needs being fulfilled by one partner is not necessarily a good thing. As this article from The Atlantic puts it well, the notion that marriage is the best answer to the deep human desire for connection and belonging is incredibly seductive and dangerous. This article quotes from a study that found that marriage actually weakens other social ties. Single people, when contrasted with married people, are far more connected to the social world around them. On average, they provide more care for their siblings and aging parents. They have more friends. And they are more likely to offer help to neighbours and ask for it in return. So nope, marriage does not provide social good. Now I'm done. As lives and lifestyles change from generation to generation, our concept of marriage will change as well. At the same time, whether it's because of my own upbringing and held beliefs, I still hold out hope for the ideals of marriage. Marriage, more than anything we've ever talked about, is a relationship between two people. Harvard psychology professor and happiness expert Daniel Gilbert puts it best. Marriage doesn't make you happy. Happy marriages make you happy. A couple's own thoughts and feelings on what marriage is most important and should be honestly communicated with each other without assumptions. But you know what? Ultimately, it's up to you. If you want to get married, if you don't want to get married, your life, your choice. But I do want to know what you think. Is marriage a worthy goal in life to you? Let us know what you think in the comments down below.